Greetings, Galactic Jedis. How's everyone doing out there? Today is Wednesday, the 8th of November, and we are here live. I am broadcasting once again on all my social media platforms, including, of course, YouTube. I am excited to be with you guys once again. Thank you so much for joining me on this beautiful evening here on planet Earth. I would like to start off by acknowledging everyone out there, all the light warriors, starseeds that are geographically spread across the entire planet. Thank you so much for being here, for taking the call, and being here at this time and in this most pivotal moment in the history of planet Earth, where for the first time in cosmic history, we get to experience a planetary ascension. All right, I do have some articles I do want to read regarding some of the secret alliances that have been taking place between Earth governments and then, of course, extraterrestrials. Now, I also want to point out that we have been monitored by galactic positive extraterrestrials who are preventing us from having nuclear war. And I did find an article that comes from the Jerusalem Post, and I want to read something regarding the intervention that's been taking place by the positive ETs who are doing everything in their power to make sure that there is no nuclear holocaust. So this is coming from the Jerusalem Post, and it was published on July 9th, 2023 by Galactic. Did aliens prevent nuclear war is the question. Former NASA astronaut claims they did. Former NASA astronaut Edgar Mitchell gained notoriety, I can't even say that word, it's a tongue twister for me, with the dissemination of various conspiracy theories since his return from the moon in 1971. So are the aliens the ones who are preventing humanity from descending into a nuclear war? That's what a former NASA astronaut claims. Edgar Mitchell, who was part of the Apollo 14 mission to the moon, gained notoriety, I can't even say that word. He became notorious, I could say that, with the dissemination of various conspiracy theories since his return from the moon in 1971. Mitchell, the sixth man to set foot on the moon, was interviewed back in 2016 where he admitted to being convinced of the existence of aliens and extensively spoke about claims that aliens have visited the Earth. In that conversation with the Daily Mirror, he raised the astonishing claim that aliens were responsible for preventing a nuclear war between the United States and the Soviet Union during the peak tension of the Cold War. There's more. During that conversation, Mitchell also discussed the White Sands missile testing facility in New Mexico. He said White Sands was a testing ground for atomic weapons, and that's what the extraterrestrials were interested in. They wanted to know about our military capabilities. My conversations with people in the military and intelligence community showed that the extraterrestrials were attempting to keep us from going to war and help us achieve peace on Earth. White Sands Missile Range is where the first atomic bomb was detonated in 1945, and Mitchell claimed that the officers there told him that aliens were disabling missiles that flew above the site. As you can expect, these claims did not pass unnoticed. Nigel Watson, a UFO expert, said at the time to IFL Science, in my view, it's just another case of UFO fantasies and speculations. Trying to get the facts is like herding cats. Nick Pope, a former senior official in the British Defense Ministry who investigated UFOs, also addressed Mitchell's claims. Edgar is a very respected individual, and it was an honor to meet him, he said. However, most of the information he has is secondhand and not experienced firsthand. While he had access to government and military documents, he doesn't reveal his sources, so we can't be entirely sure about what he says. All right. This is not the first time allegations have been made that aliens neutralize nuclear weapons and show an interest in military bases. Bob Jacobs, a former U.S. Air Force lieutenant, spoke to Larry King in 2008, where he claimed that during nuclear missiles tests in the 1960s, a large object appeared in the sky, causing great confusion in the U.S. military, which then instructed never to speak of this incident again. This claim was also echoed by Stephen Bassett, the founder of the Paradigm Research Group, who has been trying for years to persuade the U.S. government to investigating the disclosure of truth about extraterrestrials and UFOs. Bassett claimed that aliens neutralized human nuclear weapons to demonstrate how useless they are against their advanced technology. When asked what motivates aliens to silence our nuclear weapons, Bassett argued that several eyewitnesses have observed aliens easily controlling our nuclear arsenal, and added that it is not intended to threaten us, but merely to convey a message that these things are futile. He stated in an interview with the Daily Star, "They keep turning off our nuclear weapons time and time again, but it doesn't mean that they are evil. The eyewitnesses who have witnessed this believe that it's not an act of hostility, but rather to convey that these things are useless against them, and it only contributes to humanity killing each other. So why not get rid of it?" That's their interpretation. All right, so there is another article I do want to share with you guys about Truman. Harry Truman was the first one to strike. I guess I can't access it, so I'm just going to go ahead and summarize it. How's everyone doing? Thank you for being here. The whole point is that there will be no nuclear war. All right? The benevolent ETs, the Galactic Alliance, and those that are the allies of humanity will not prevent it for multiple reasons. First and foremost, as I mentioned before, planet Earth is the most important planet in the entire multiverse for multiple reasons. Secondly, due to the fact that the entire universe is entangled, what happens here in our solar system has an utter effect in the fabric of time and space, and therefore it affects other planets and other parts of the universe. So that's the reason why the benevolent races will not allow for any nuclear war to take place. Now, there was a meeting that took place in 1957, I believe, with Eisenhower and the benevolent races, whether they came from the Galactic Federation of Free Worlds or whether they are Galactic Alliance. This was before it was infiltrated by Yankee. Back then it was known as the Federation of Free Worlds. And there is evidence that members within the Federation met with Eisenhower in the late 1950s, and they asked Eisenhower to dismantle the entire weaponry system and military of the United States in order for them to share advanced technologies with our government. And of course, unfortunately, due to Truman's betrayal of our government when he signed the contract with the Greys, who in turn are working for the what? The reptilians of Orion, right? The Dracos. Our country had unfortunately already struck a deal with the bad guys, the NAA, the Negative Alien Agenda. And so unfortunately, by the time Eisenhower had an opportunity to strike a deal with the benevolent races, it was already impossible because of what Truman did. And there is evidence, all right? There is evidence that it was Harry Truman, not Eisenhower, that sold us out to the negative aliens, right? When they advanced their secret space programs. And before Harry Truman, it is believed that the Prime Minister of Britain, back then he was known as Winston Churchill, was the one who actually, after Hitler, of course Hitler was the first one to strike a deal with the negative aliens, but it was also Winston Churchill who struck a deal with them. And then of course later, Harry Truman, who was a puppet of the cabal, was in on that. And so what Harry Truman did is he created a special group known as the MJ-12. The MJ-12 was created for multiple reasons. First and foremost was to hide the fact that the US government had recovered ships, fleets, or what we call crash craft, and reversed engineered them, okay? Secondly, the second reason why MJ-12 was created by Harry Truman was to keep this information from the public, because back then we were already negotiating with the NNA and the development of the interplanetary corporate conglomerate. And by the way, the real reason why the astronauts never went back to the moon after the 1960s and 70s, all right, was because of the fact that when they landed on the moon, what they saw was something that they were told to be hushed about. They saw interplanetary structures on the far side of the moon. And a lot of this information has been recently revealed by whistleblowers within the secret space program, that the entire backside of the moon, or what we call the dark side of the moon, was used not only as a space dock for these negative aliens, but also as a monitoring station for these negative aliens who had been, again, controlling our planet from behind the scenes. And so it wasn't, of course, until Eisenhower and Valiant Thor of Planet Venus begin negotiating plans to create benevolent secret space programs that would counteract all the nefarious activities that were actually going on in our solar system from behind the scenes. So I do want to mention, I want to give credit to Eisenhower, because Eisenhower was the one who set the plan in motion, of course, with Valiant Thor. And the plan was to rid America from the military-industrial complex, who are the shadow government that have been negotiating and executing nefarious treaties with these extraterrestrials. Now, one of the negotiations that took place was in exchange for advanced technologies. They wanted to extract genetics from planet Earth for multiple reasons. As you guys know, the humans on Earth carry a pure lineage. We are considered the original stock of human genetics. And that explains why all the different ETs out there who digressed in genetics, right, who decided to cut themselves off from their direct connection to source, decided to travel back in time and extract genetics in order to purify their DNA, because we carry the purest DNA out of the entire universe. In other words, we don't have digressed DNA like some of these extraterrestrials. And that's the reason why they struck a deal with the negative aliens, because of the fact that a lot of these groups are so digressed that they lost their connection to source. And so they are trying to not only preserve their race, but they're also trying to evolve organically. And the only way that they could evolve organically is by stealing some of our genetics, because we still have within our DNA the ability to evolve organically into, you know, the different levels and dimensions of reality. I'm also looking at the chat. So I want to welcome everyone. I want to welcome my YouTube family, the Galactic Jedis. I want to welcome my family from Instagram. I want to also welcome my family from Facebook, TikTok, and I think even Twitter. I want to welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I also want to mention that there's only a few tickets left for the Utah event on the 14th of November. There's only a few tickets left. So for those that want to go to the Utah event, make sure that you guys get your ticket immediately before it sells out. And I am excited to meet some of you guys on, you know, this book tour coming up in the next week or two. I am excited to travel the country, and I'm also excited about Disclosure Fest, Stairway to the Stars event that is taking place this weekend in Vegas. So I'm going to go ahead and take some of the questions. I see all these different chats. It's going by so fast, but this time I'm going to go ahead and pause each chat so that way I can get to the questions. Oh, by the way, guys, if you guys could do me a favor, for those of you guys that have questions, do me the biggest favor. Can you guys put them all in capital letters? So that way I could distinguish questions from, you know, chat. Thank you. I appreciate that. So we do have a question from Mohammed. Mohammed, thank you so much for the super chat, brother. How you doing? So Mohammed, thank you so much for your donation, brother. And your question is, thank you for your book. I have a question. I heard that there are prisons in the high etheric dimensional controlled by Lucifer. and some starseed souls are restricted in these prisons. Question, do you know about this topic? Use your discernment, guys, when it comes to certain information, because I guarantee you that there are no prisons in the higher dimensions. Right now, as I speak, the entire multi-dimensional matrix, what we call the 15-dimensional time matrix, in which we exist in the lower aspect of it, right, in the lowest of densities, in the third dimension, all the higher dimensions have been cleansed. We're only waiting for the final cleansing and purging of all evil in this third dimension. All right, so that is misinformation. There are no traps in the higher dimensions, okay? And they are not entrapping the starseeds. That is completely false. All right, I just wanted to address that. Thank you so much for asking that question, Muhammad. Do we have any other questions here? So the whole point is that the forces of light always cleanse dimensions from the top down until it reaches the lower densities. So as I speak right now, we're only waiting for the final liberation of the Earth in order to usher in a galactic and cosmic jubilee, which is going to be the restoration of planet Earth back into the galactic and cosmic community. Remember, guys, we've already won the war in space. We're just waiting for the final liberation of planet Earth. And that, my friends, is about to take place very, very soon. All right, so do we have any more questions here? Again, guys, if you guys ask questions, please ask them in capital letters so I can know the difference. All right, so let me go to my social media to see if we have any questions on Instagram or Facebook. All right, so Andromeda Daisy has a question about how many other ET genetics do we... Okay, so her question is, if I could only get... Hold on, it keeps moving. The chat is going so fast. Bear with me here. About how many different ET genetics do we as humans have in our... Oh, that's a good question. If I could only pin it down. In our DNA. Okay, so we are the amalgamation of all the human, celestial, extraterrestrial races that not only exist within our local universe, but exist throughout the multiverse, all the universes that are part of the 7th super universe of Orventon. So we are the final, we are the culmination of the involutionary and evolutionary potential of all the celestial Adamic Catman races out there. And what I mean by Adam and Catman, humanoids, celestials, angelics, all right, not insectilians, all right, not mantis. However, some of us do have a little bit of mantis genetics. There are some starseeds out there that are that had incarnations as mantis and are now here in human form to purge and to receive a new human body. Okay, but for the most part, the human experiment on Earth has been conducted and ongoing for billions of years. It began when many universes decided to put all their essences and DNAs into 100 races, and then in turn those 100 races also put their genetics and DNAs into 24 races, and then in turn those 24 races also put their genetics into 12 races, and then we are the final result of that. So those 12 races also put their genetics into one race, and that is what we are here on the Earth. So within our genetic framework, we carry the greatest diversity when it comes to genetics from across many, many universes. I would say 100 million, a few hundred million universes put into one race. That's how valuable we are, guys. That's how valuable we are. And that explains why our potential is always the greatest, because we have a higher evolutionary capacity than all the other interdimensionals and extraterrestrials that exist throughout the multiverse. For, you know, this is how powerful we are. We're so powerful that they had to downgrade us into only using 2 strands of DNA and only 4% of our full genetic material. Because even at 10% would be the equivalent of us using or being as powerful as the ultraviolets, which are the most powerful ETs in our 12-dimensional time matrix. So even just using 10% is the equivalent of Arcturians or Andromedans or Sirians using 100%. That's us at 10%. So imagine the other 90%. That's how much power we're going to have when we begin to use this dormant DNA. We are literally the ultimate masterpiece of the creator gods in one race. That's how powerful we are. I will take more questions now. Again, guys, make sure that the questions are all capital letters so I could get to the questions and bypass the chat. All right, so we do have a question from Claudia Chavez. Hi there, can you tell us about the rollouts of medbeds? So the advanced technologies of light that have been used in the private sector by these breakaway groups, commonly known as secret space programs, they will be released to the general public, but after the fall of the cabal. As soon as the Earth Alliance and the White Hats bring about disclosure, right, through the EBS, right, through the new financial system, all of these technologies are going to be rolled out immediately, which in turn will put an end to the pharmaceutical cartel, the petrochemical companies, and all of those corporations that are currently in power. All right, and that's another reason, again, why the powers that be did not want to give this technology to the general public, because they were making trillions off of their petrochemical pharmaceutical companies. And that includes, you know, when you pump gas in your car, right? That includes Edison and the primitive way of the way we've been, you know, gathering and using energy, all right? So that's one of the biggest reasons why this technologies or these free energy devices, as well as medbeds and other technologies, have been shunned away from the public. But as we defeat the elite, in which we have from behind the scenes, it's just a matter of time before they roll out all these beautiful technologies. But again, as a reminder, these technologies are only going to exist within the fourth dimensional Earth, right? They're only going to be a part of the Earth Terrans' existence. So the Earth Terrans are going to be the ones that are going to be benefiting from these technologies. Whereas the Celestials in human form, which is the Starseed Nations, as you go into the fifth dimensional and above, you will be your own technology. Remember, we are a living, organic, quantum technology, right? And that explains our dormant DNA. So we will be the technology. We're going to have the ability to heal ourselves on the spot. We're going to have the ability to teleport. We're going to have the ability to communicate and also to traverse the different dimensional planes and the cosmos at will. Kevin is saying, good morning. We enjoy every minute of your information. Thank you for your time and wonderful knowledge. You guys are so welcome. It is an honor to serve at this time and to remind you guys of why we came back to the Earth, why we came from the future, right? Which is to alter the AI timeline and preserve the organic way of life for all living beings in the cosmos, not just for the Earthlings. All right, so the next, okay, I just want to acknowledge Stuart Williams for his benevolent and his gracious donation. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and answer a couple questions from social media. All right, so this is a good question from Amu Nakil. He is saying, what is happening In the Middle East, a final fight in between Enlil and Enki, or is it the movie show and we're seeing more dumps being cleaned out? You guys want to know the truth of what's happening in the Middle East? It is okay. So because there are an infinite number of timelines or Earths that are coexisting at the same time, in the spectrum of negative Earth and positive Earth, on the negative side, it is the globalist final attempt of initiating World War III, which is not going to happen. Again, the extraterrestrials, the Galactic Alliance, are monitoring very closely the situation to make sure that there is no nuclear war. All right, let me repeat that again. The Galactic Alliance, right, is monitoring the situation so that there is no nuclear war. However, on the positive line, it is a final cleansing of the underground dumps that exist in the Middle East, not to mention it is also another attempt to preserve the stargates that exist there. There is a big stargate in Iraq, in Iran, and there's also another one in Israel. So those stargates have to be kept closed because the dark side has been trying to use those stargates to bring in Soria and Omega, which is what they call the AI God. And as you guys know, it's not going to happen, all right? We're not going to defeat him until after the millennium, after 1,000 years, then we're going to defeat the AI God and all his minions. All right, so we do have a super chat over on my YouTube channel. I'm going to go ahead and address that. This is from Xenia. Thank you so much for your wonderful, generous donation, sister. So she's asking, your book, page 115, by divine decree, it was prohibited for fallen light beings to inherit Adam angelic form. It was forbidden by the order of Ancient of Days. And then I guess your question is, what do they care of the decree? They still powerful and kill us. Okay, so to answer your question, one of the things that I reveal in my book is that the fallen angelics, or the fallen Elohim, right, before they inherited physical bodies, it was prohibited by the order of the Ancient of Days, which is a branch of the Emerald Order, to prevent any fallen entity to inherit the Adam Catman or the human body. So what they did is they biogenetically engineered a vehicle for the fallen legions of Lucifer Samana from the 11th creation in the 12th creation by admixing the gene of a snake with a dragon to create the first reptilian race in our universe. So that's how the reptilian race was created. I'm sorry, they were created in the 11th creation. But of course later they leaked into our universe after they destroyed, all the worlds in the 11th creation. So that is the reason why they were prohibited, because they went against divine, they went against the light, they went against God. So that's why they were prohibited from inheriting a human body. So they created their own avatar, which was biogenetically engineered by Samana himself, who became the first Draco Sith. And unfortunately, yes, the Draco Sith and their AI overlords have been causing a lot of suffering throughout the universes, but their time is up. And again, a lot of the higher dimensions, the space wars, the galactic wars, are finally over in favor of the light, thanks to our super soldiers, thanks to Solar Warden, and then of course Radiant Guardians, who were the heroes, who are the heroes in our galaxy, universe, and multiverse. So we have another super chat on my YouTube channel by Trenton Williams. Thank you so much for your generous donation. If Enki's biological form died 20 to 30,000 years ago and he is now a cyborg, then how does he have fractals here on the Earth in the form of Zuckerberg, Fauci, and Gates? Very good question. I thought cyborgs didn't have souls. No, cyborgs don't have souls. And those people that you mentioned, Fauci, Gates, and Zuckerberg, also don't have souls. So they come from his lineage. They come from the bloodline of Enki. And I want to just tell you guys this. From day one, even before Atlantean times, Enki was already fascinated with AI. And you guys want to know the true reason why Atlantis failed? Was because back then, Enki and his entourage were trying so hard to implement transhumanism during the days of Atlantis. All right? this is information that has been left out of the records, but I was able to access it by accessing the Akashic records and the Emerald records as well. In fact, the entire war in Lyra, all the wars that have ever been fought in our universe were the result of AI. Let me see. I'm going to get to another super chat. This is from Elizabeth Hutchinson. Thank you so much for your generous donation, sister. Could you talk about the blood types? I am O positive, lots of theories. Rh negative is purest of celestial blood type. Do certain blood types and starseeds supersede the others or determine how quickly supernatural abilities activate? Yes. The starseeds that are Rh negative carry a higher concentration of celestial genetics. And the starseeds that carry Rh positive are still starseeds, but they also have the primitive gene. But this is the thing. When the ascension takes place and we undergo multidimensional integration, as we become one with our higher selves, galactic self, future self, whatever you want to call it, that automatically will neutralize the primitive gene. Okay, so yes, the answer is yes. The Rh negative blood type are those that have undiluted, the purest form of celestial genetics, and they're also considered royal because of the fact that they come from the ancient line of the original Anuhasi race before they became the Anunnaki. And yes, people that are Rh negative are very prone to supernatural abilities. I wouldn't doubt if some of them are already exploring telekinesis, telepathy, and the ability to manipulate the, matter, space, and time as we know it. Okay, so we have another super chat from Ingrid. Thank you so much for the donation, sister. Ismael, thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom with us. You guys are so welcome. It is an honor. I love you. I love you too, sister. Like to remember what you said to forgive Lucifer and to send him back to love and light. Let's forgive him. Yes, absolutely. We should all, as stated by Yeshua and Buddha, we should always, always forgive our enemies, because eventually even Lucifer is the son of God. And believe it or not, Lucifer had a very pivotal role to play in the realm of duality, right? Creating opposition, existence of evil. All that stuff is part of a greater solution, right? It's all orchestrated by the one infinite creator, believe it or not. But check this out. Even Lucifer was hijacked by the Ahriman, the king of the archons. That's how Lucifer fell. He was influenced by archon energy, which later manifested in the form of artificial intelligence. All right, so that's enough of the super chat. So let me get to social media. So we have any questions on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube? All right, so this is a question from Instagram from Beta Truth. She wants to know, how do you meditate? Do you visualize? What do you do? Well, there are all different types of meditations. There's breath work, there's Zen, there's mindfulness meditation, there's Kriya Kundalini. I mean, the list goes on. Even Tai Chi is a form of meditation. The first thing you need to do in order to execute an effective meditation is learn how to concentrate. And this is what I teach in my Starseed Cosmology classes. Before I teach you my techniques, I always teach my students how to focus on an apple or any object or just the light of a candle with your eyes closed. If you could hold that image for a minute or more, then you have good concentrating abilities. So before you even attempt to do any form of meditation, you have to learn how to master and control your mind, right? Where you could calm your mind and just focus on the light or on one object without having any interference. But the best thing to do when you meditate is always be aware and conscientious of your breathing. Breath is key in meditation, guys. Breath is the life force that we breathe in when we meditate. As we inhale, we bring in more chi, right? As we exhale, we release negativity. Be aware of that. So when you begin to meditate, focus on your breath. And then once you master your concentration and once you master your breath, then you could begin to visualize. Then you could begin to, do deeper, more complex forms of meditations. All right, so I'm going to be answering more questions. Oh, this one's in Spanish. I can't read it. I mean, I could read it, but let's see, Melchizedek. Or is it in French? Some of you guys are asking me questions in another language. I mean, I can read Spanish. I can't read French, though. Donna Hayate says, yes, Putin is a white hat. That is absolutely correct. Yes, by the way, Putin was replaced years ago by the Earth Alliance. The original Putin was evil, but the Putin that is here today is, a member of the White Hat Earth Alliance group. This is a question from Neo. He says, are dragons big? Yes, the dragons are big. And speaking about the dragons, guys, because of the fact that this is the final battleground against the machine, the ultimate enemy in the cosmos, all of the fairies, all of the magical creatures, all of the dragons are coming back to the earth right now. So a lot of you have a special connection with dragons. I would suggest through your meditations to connect with your dragon at this time, because they are here to serve you, just like your spirit teams, okay? The dragons are our servants. And some of you might even have dragon energy or blood in you, which means that in a different reality, in a different dimension, you are a dragon, okay? You are a dragon. So we have benevolent dragons, guardians of the gates of eternity, and then we also have what? Negative dragons, right? Like the red dragon, the Dracos, and the reptilians. I'm looking for questions. Please, again, guys, make sure you guys put those questions in capital letters. Jimmy W., greetings. Back to you, my friend. Thank you for being here. Do we have any questions from Instagram? Huh. All right, so I'm gonna translate Martha's question. Martha has a question for me in Spanish. Ismael, ¿cómo podemos proteger cuando dormimos de esta entrada en la noche? Okay, so I'm gonna translate her question. She wants to know, what is the best way to protect ourselves at night before we go to sleep? All right, so the first thing to do before you go to bed is sit yourself in a comfortable position. I prefer with an aligned back if you can, and picture a sphere of white light around you. Call upon your guides, call upon Michael, your angels, your dragons, those that are part of your spirit team. Guys, we have a legion. We have legions of helpers around us. We just need to invoke them, right? And we put them to work. And always ask before you go to sleep, may no negative entity influence or intrude in my being or in my astral body or in my etheric body as I sleep. I give no permission to any negative entity to influence my sleep. So be it. So you call upon your team, and then you state that you do not consent, that there will be no influence by any negative entities. And that's how you do it. But make sure you put a sphere of white light around you as you invoke your team and as you give off your statement. All right, so a question from Sylvia Vidal. Do the NPCs know that they're not human? No, they don't know, because in their minds, they are an emanation from the program. You could say that they're computer generated, right? But as a hologram, right, they seem as real as anybody else. And no, they have no clue that they're NPCs. They have no clue that they're NPCs. They're living their life. The difference between a person with a soul and an NPC is that the NPCs don't have the capacity to have empathy, or the capacity for deep intellectual thinking, or the capacity to question, right? They are the first ones to be part of the herd mind hive, in other words, right? Always following, the mainstream, always following the herd. That's what the NPCs do. They're only here to make sure that the people with souls are entrapped in the matrix as much as possible. I'm looking for more questions. Yeah, so NPCs are also incapable of critical thinking. They just do. In other words, they're like a computer program, right? All they do is they just follow the norm, follow the conventional way of life. They're like the first conformist when it comes to the lockdown, when it comes to the face diapers, the mandates. They're the first ones to do that, so that way everyone else could follow. Anne wants to know if there's any chance that I'm able to add any additional states to my book tour. Unfortunately, no. We weren't able to book any venues outside of those 6 states that we did. I'm sorry, Anne. Hold on one second, guys. All right. I'm looking for more questions. I acknowledge everyone on every platform. Thank you for being here at this time. So Marisol from Instagram wants to know, what is the difference between... Oh no, I just lost my other chat. Oops. Darn it. I don't even know what button I pressed. Let's see. I guess she wanted to know if there was a difference between B negative and O negative. I'm assuming. I'm looking for your question. I'm sorry. I had it, but then I lost it. All right, so I'm assuming that your question was if there's any difference between Rh negative O and B. Yes, there is. Rh negative O is the universal donor. Every blood type could take Rh negative O, but they cannot take any other blood type. However, only the Rh positives could take any Rh negative blood, but not but the O's could only take their own. The B's could take O's. The ABs could take O's, but the O's cannot take B negative or AB negative. The O's could only take O negative. That's what they call it, the universal donor. I'm looking for questions, guys. Oh, I found it. Okay, so Carla from Instagram is asking, what's the difference between the Gala City Alliance, the Galactic Alliance versus the Galactic Federation? Good question. Okay, so the difference is the Galactic Alliance was recently developed in the last few years when Enki came back to our solar system and decided to, do his thing with all of that. That's all because of Enki's return, the rollout of the medicine and everything. Among other things that he was trying to do, he was trying to infiltrate the Federation, which he did by extracting genetics, Pleiadian genetics, Andromedan genetics, Lyran genetics from human females on Earth in order to access the piloting systems and the navigational control systems of the Federation fleets. So many of the Federation commanders defected, and they aligned with Enki because Enki came back as a cyborg and sold them on the idea that they could be as powerful as they can be if they align with AI. So the members of the Galactic Federation that did not align with that decided to reorganize as the Galactic Alliance. So as of 2022, I believe, or the end of 2021, there was a shift, a split in the Galactic Federation of Worlds where the members that were still honoring the light and not the negative AI integration decided to call themselves the Galactic Alliance to differentiate between the defectors that decided to join AI and the non-defectors that remained loyal to the organic way of life. So that is the difference between the Galactic Alliance and the Galactic Federation. So the Galactic Alliance are the Earth's allies. But don't get me wrong, the Galactic Federation of Worlds have been the interstellar police force and galactic benevolent groups across many galaxies that have been assisting us for the last, millions upon millions of years until they were infiltrated in 2021. So now they're called the Galactic Alliance. All right, so I have time for about 3 more questions, guys. Let's see. I'm going to get to hopefully some really good questions. Oh, another thing I wanted to share with you guys is that I don't know how you guys feel about Elon Musk, but it is believed, okay, according to Galactic Alliance resources, it is believed that Elon Musk had a conversation with Putin regarding some sort of nuclear missile that was launched from Ukraine over to Russia, which was going to initiate a nuclear war. But you know what Elon Musk did? He completely disabled all the satellites, Starlink, in other words, the communicating device, the satellite systems, in order to neutralize and disable all nuclear plants so that there is no nuclear holocaust. So this happened a few months ago. So whether you think Elon is good or not, he did prevent a nuclear war, and I believe that he was influenced and led by the Galactic Alliance. So in that regard, he is a hero for preventing nuclear war by dismantling the Starlight satellite systems, preventing a nuclear war. But I still don't agree with Neuralink, okay? I still don't agree with Neuralink. But what he did was a very heroic act, right, in preventing nuclear war in the last few months. So I believe that the Galactics are working with him in that regard. I'm looking for questions. I'm looking for questions. looking for more questions. Yes, the benevolent positive dragons do come from the fifth harmonic universe. That is correct. Seraphim 963. Thank you for stating that. And yes, Tracy from Instagram is asking, when we shift, will we return to our nature, our natural organic avatar, our galactic avatar? Yes, what we're going to do is we're going to integrate all our other dimensional selves. We have up to 12, by the way, guys. So we're going to integrate all 11 other selves into the here and the now and integrate and spiritualize our body as we become immortals. All right, so this is a question for, oh, I just lost it. From Missy? Let's see, where is Missy? Well, there was a really good question from Missy, but I guess I can't find her anymore. All right, so I'm just going to ask, I guess, answer a different question. Sorry, Missy, I can't find you anymore. Chat's going so fast. Let's see. All right, so this is a good one from Sienna in Inverson. Will the rapture happen after the solar flash, and will it be the NPCs who get taken off the planet? That's right. It's the same. It's a metaphor, right? They call it the harvest, right? So when this ignition takes place, when this shift takes place, as the earth splits, you have the spiritual earth on one positive timeline and you have the negative earth on a different timeline. All the NPCs, all the bad guys are going to be removed, purged from the positive timeline. So yes, it is a form of rapture, you could say. Absolutely. All right, so 2 more questions, guys. 2 more questions. Many believe that the EBS could happen this month. I have an intuitive feeling it's going to happen right after the holidays. Right after the holidays. Again, I've always believed 2024 was the year where something big would happen and shift again the collective. So we'll see. All right, so Kate wants to know, how is Putin a white hat? Can you explain white hats? Okay, so the White Hats is an international alliance of many countries who signed actually a declaration against the cabal, against the New World Order. And so it has over 100 countries that are part of the Earth Alliance that are in opposition to the slavery of the NWO. And Putin is the one that is leading the way for that. So the reason he started a war with the Ukraine was because the Ukraine was the epicenter of the cabal. It was the epicenter of evil on earth. So, and not to mention, he also wanted to prevent the expansion of NATO and all those countries that are trying to bring about a globalized, infrastructure of fascism. So Putin is the one that's been holding off the globalists. He's the one that's fighting off the NWO, Klaus Schwab, and all of those puppets that work for the NWO. So that's why Putin is a white hat. Of course, the Western media will paint him as the bad guy, and Ukraine and NATO as the good guy, or Europe, the rest of Europe, where in essence he is fighting the globalization project, or the globalization excursion of the NWO. So he's fighting against NATO, he's fighting against Klaus Schwab, and most importantly, he's fighting against Brandon, who is used as a puppet by the cabal to finance all of these little proxy wars that are taking place. So that's how Putin is a white hat. He is the good guy. He's banning GMOs, he's banning transvestites, all that stuff that is being implemented here, he's undoing in Russia. All right, he's banning chemtrails, so that tells you that he's a good guy. And he's also banning the medicine. He doesn't believe in the medicine. So that's when you know that he's a white hat. And I guess that is all. Any more questions? Yes, Robin is asking, was Trump chosen? Absolutely, yes. I don't know if you guys know, but Trump and his family, his uncle John and his father knew Nikola Tesla. And Nikola Tesla was the first one to invent time travel. And so the Trumps were actually using time travel before the military-industrial complex, Illuminati got a hold of it in the 1950s. So they were already time traveling 40 years before the dark side. All right, with that have said, thank you so much for being here again. I will go live one final time before I take off to Vegas and then my book tour in 2 days, Friday night at 6 o'clock Pacific time, 9 o'clock Eastern time, and I will see you guys in 2 nights. May the God Force be with you all, always. And again, never give your power away to an external force. You guys are it. We'll talk to you guys in 2 nights, Friday night, 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. God bless.